Hello, everyone. Or should I hello, people? We're just going to wait here for the room to fill in, and we will start off the Q and A. That's if people come in tonight. If they don't, they don't. So we'll wait and see what happens. I am a bit early anyway. It's only 19:57, so we said 8 o'clock. There's two people in already, which is good. So we'll just let a few more people arrive and we'll see what happens. Can you hear me? Is the sound okay? I hope so. Those of you that are online or watching at the minute, just let me know if my sound is okay, if I have to turn up my mic or anything. Can hear you. Yeah, all is grand. That's very good. Thank you very much. So, as I said, we're just going to wait for a few people to come in and we'll see how many people come in. And it's going to be just a chat, Q&A, whatever you want really. It's up to you. And we'll see how things go. Stan, you managed to get online. Fair play to you. Welcome. I think Military Collectible said he was going to try and get on tonight as well. I don't know if he's going to make it, but I do remember reading a post that said he might get on. He might try and get onto the live tonight. I believe YouTube, I think, is acting a bit strange with people. It's not giving them notifications of videos and live streams and things like that. Can I shout out to Alex? Hello, Alex. How are you? First live stream for me. Yeah, he said he was. That's perfect. Yeah. People were given out to me last week for not reading the correct questions correctly, so I will read them and try and answer them as well. Andrew, evening. How are you? So we'll give it about 5 minutes, lads. We're at 2 minutes at the minute, so we'll give it about 5 minutes. Let people start coming in, and then you can start firing questions at me, same as last week. And I will try and answer them as best I can. If not, I will make up the answers because I am Irish. So yeah, so a bit of a busy week for me, but I said I'd make the time anyway, and we'll come in and we'll see, and we'll just sit down and we'll chat. Present, correct, and reporting for duty. Military Collectibles. Well done. Thanks for coming. You said you'd come. You're now here. Stan is around there somewhere as well, probably drinking a Stella or something in his shed. I actually have a package to send to you, Stan, at the minute as well. I must remember to do it. So yeah, those of you that have just joined, we're giving it about 5 minutes for just people to come in, and then you can start firing questions at me, just chatting, whatever the hell you want, and I will start answering the questions as best I can. So we're at 3 minutes now, so we'll give it another 2 minutes and we'll see how we get on. Kitchen and sober. Oh yeah, I will send it. I will send that stuff to you. There's no problem. I actually have it packed in a different room, but I will send it to you so that there'll be no panic. As I said, I've had a bit of a busy week, but that's life, I suppose. So we'll get there. So 1 more minute to go. We've 6 people online. I can't remember what the maximum we had last week. I think it was 8 or 9 or something. So we'll eventually get there. If not, who cares? It's just for us anyway, and a bit of entertainment for a Friday evening. So if you want to start thinking of questions, or if you want to start asking questions, lads, or whatever you want to do, there's no panic. I'll start answering them bit by bit, and then when more people jump online, sure, we can carry on from there. It's up to you. This is a live, I suppose, back to the people that subscribe, that they can ask me direct questions or they can get direct information about items that they've seen in previous videos or items that they would like to see coming up that they've seen in the background and stuff like that. So it's up to you to decide what you want to talk about. So we're at 5 minutes there now. So you're more than welcome to start shooting questions at me if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to. So, what was the first item in my collection? First item in my collection was actually, I still have it there somewhere. It was a piece of trench art that was belonged to my great grandfather from the First World War, and there's a cap badge with the Munster Fusiliers on it, which would have been a regiment around my area. So that's the first piece of military that I can remember in the house, and thankfully it was given to me. So that's the first piece of military that I ever had and that I was ever given. Where have I gone? Hello there. Yeah, hello. I read from last week's comments that you said you would like to use your military for maybe movies or as an advisor. Yes, I would. I'd like to try and go down that street or down that road, I should say. I have done some small bits and pieces in the past for Nationwide, which is like an Irish magazine type channel or program, shall we say. I have done some work from them. Prior to me going into the army, there was an awful lot of guys used for Braveheart and for Saving Private Ryan. When I was in the army, then some guys were used for the Windy Checks to Barley as extras and stuff like that, and as advisors. So yeah, I'd like to get into that type of field, just as an advisor or something like that, because it really does bug me when you're looking at a military film or a military documentary and it's completely all wrong. Now, look, I get things wrong as well. I try and do as much research as I possibly can, but yeah, it bugs me when you're looking at military documentaries or military movies and they look like a Christmas tree with insignia and stuff like that, or they never reload a magazine, things like that. Yeah, that bugs me, and I just don't understand why filmmakers, movie makers, documentary guys. It's not that hard. There's veterans all over the place. There's advisors all over the place that you could just get a bit of advice and try and make things better for the audience. So yeah, so there are two very good questions. First item in my collection, and yeah, the never-ending mags. Yes, the never-ending mags really bugs me. Or when you see guys with belt-fed magazine or belt-fed machine guns, and they're shooting them from the shoulder without anyone holding the magazine or holding the belt, because that will actually cause a stoppage. The belt being trying to get dragged through the machine or the mechanism of the gun will cause a stoppage. Um, Rambo is the famous one where he shoots the 60 from under his arm and holds onto a 50 round belt and obliterates an entire company of guys. So yeah, the never ending mag saga is a problem. It's a very big problem when it comes to certain in higher budget movies it's not too bad. I suppose B-roll movies and things like that, it is a problem. But yeah, like I mean, you do see massive issues as well with some high budget stuff. The last high budget, we'll say, Irish movie that was made specifically about the Irish Army was the Siege of Jevaville, or was it the Siege of Jevaville? I can't remember what it was called, the actual proper title on it. But it was about the Irish guys that were in the Congo, and this actually asked guys that had been there or had served in the army around that time frame to advise on that movie, and it's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen that movie, go check out that movie. And guys, if you don't know who Steel Helmet Stan is, or if you don't know who Military Collectibles is, go and subscribe to them. They have two fantastic channels as well. And I'm trying to see if anyone else is there that has a channel, but definitely Steel Helmet Stan and Military Collectibles. Go check them out as well. They do great content on their channel, on their videos. So yeah, so that's it, lads. If you, so anyone else has a question there, or anyone else just wants to give me a topic. Have you seen the Siege of Jebel? I was trying typing it in when you said it. What about the scene where the guys take the long shot from the Bren gun? Yeah, and cheers for the shout out. The Bren gun guys that were very, very, very experienced with the Bren gun could actually single fire it. Because it was such a slow cycling gun. The shot is actually true. The Bren has a further range than the Mark IV that they were using at the time. Well, that sniper was using at the time. It had a greater range, and he actually supposedly, I don't know, but supposedly from what I've heard from other guys, that shot was actually done. He literally took a shot from a Bren gun and killed the guy, single shot. Um, what's it like for military shows in Ireland? I know here in the UK that there are some big shows and events we can get to, good for browsing and picking up items. Yes, there are some good shows in Ireland. Uh, Ireland is small enough. You could probably count on both hands, even one hand, on the amount of shows that are ran. There's there used to be one in Dublin called Salute, but now that has moved to the National Military Museum, which is a private military museum that is in Mayo. I think it's in Mayo. That has a show every year. There was another one then known in Cork called the Cork City Jail. That had a show. And there was another one then called the Listowel, excuse me, called the Listowel Military Show, which was in Kerry. They were probably the three main ones that I can remember. But because of COVID and stuff, things have slowed down massively. But there are shows, and then if you cross the border into Northern Ireland, shall we say, um, they have shows on up there as well and stuff. There are shows, yeah, there are, but there's only ever about possibly 9 or 10 every year. The season is short enough; they only have them on during the summer. There are vendors and tradesmen or trades guys there at those shows where you can pick up good finds, things like that. Um, the northern shows, if you're into op banner stuff, World War Two, World War One, is a lot. It's better to collect, get items up there. Now you can still get them down here, but up there there's more of a, a market, or not more of a market, more of a pool, shall we say, compared to down south. Down south, then you pick up like American World War Two stuff, a lot of reproduction American World War Two stuff, Vickers helmets, Brody helmets, Mark Fours, things like that. You do come across items as well. There are vendors. There is one pretty decent war movie coming out of Eastern Europe. It appears the Russians are buying back T-34 tanks from the former communist countries to restore them to use in the film. Oh, I didn't know that. Um, I know that Tom Hanks and Spielberg are making a follow on, shall we say, to the likes of Band of Brothers and Pacific about the 8th Air Force in Europe. Um, that's in filming as well at the moment. Uh, I didn't know about that Russian one, but I know Spielberg and Hanks are Tom Hanks are making a follow on, another series about the 8th Air Force. Tom Hanks actually, um, I know guys that were speaking to him in filming of Saving Private Ryan, because there was an awful lot of Irish Army lads used as extras. He has a massive, huge collection of World War Two stuff, and I just finished watching an interview and a documentary about the film that he made. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it went straight out onto iMovies or something like that. The Greyhound, which is about the Battle of the Atlantic and the Pacific, or not, pardon me, the Atlantic convoys. So yeah, that's another good film actually. If you haven't seen it, Greyhound. Great Russian movie is leaving Afghanistan. Great visuals. Is that the same one? It depends. It depends what language you get it in. If it's in English, I think it's leaving Afghanistan, and then the original is called the A Company or something like that, which is about conscripts that got sent to Afghanistan. Yeah, it's the A Company. It's the eighth or the ninth company, something like that. Very good film as well. Uh, how does the general public in Ireland view Operation Banner? Items being collected and displayed. Thanks for the shout out. Um, it's like everything else. You're going to come across twats. In general, people don't see the troubles as a, how do I say this, an issue. If you get me, the fact that you collect it or the fact that you show it, it's not the problem. They believe that history needs to be learned and history needs to be shown, and things like that. You do come across the odd person saying, "Why the hell are you doing that?" and stuff like that. And the answer I give them is quite simple. We have a generation in Ireland now, thankfully, that knows nothing about the troubles. They don't have a bull's notion. If you ask them um, about Bloody Sunday, like, I can remember I was actually sitting in a place the other day when the Ballymena thing came out about the inquest, and I was sitting across from two guys in a canteen, shall we say, and the two of them, both in their middle 20s, didn't have a clue what Ballymena was, didn't know what the idea of the inquiry was, just didn't know. So yeah, it's strange. It is strange. For me, it's strange because I collect it and I've done research in it, and I believe that this should be shown and should be taught so that people don't go back that direction. So yeah, but I suppose it is good that people don't know anything about that. What are the deactivation laws in or rules in Ireland? Um, they're pretty much the same as the UK. Um, you can have any type of gun except a mortar, believe it or not, or any type of, yeah, mortar. Yeah, you can't have mortars unless the barrels have been literally, you have a hole born in them, and they're completely inoperable. Um, DX you can have once they are EU deactivation cert, and that can be either cock and click or just the cock that the firing mechanism of taking out. Um, you can have either of them to a certain date. You cannot have, I believe, is it mid 60s? You can't have any. So you couldn't have, we'll say, the likes of an M16, an AK, something like that, a Galil, shall we say, that has been deactivated. You can only have past a certain date. You can't have, or sorry, you can have prior to a certain date. You can't have past a certain date. And that's came in after there was a hold up with a DAC. I think it was an AK-47 or something like that. They held up a shop with a DAC AK-47. So the police said no, prior to whatever date. So if you want to have like an M16 or anything beyond that date, airsoft is the way to go. Denix is also the way to go. Denix and airsoft, there's no real legislation to them. The airsoft guns, all right, have to fire under 328 feet per second, which is 1 joule. Anything over that is illegal. Anything under that is fine. I have both in my collection. I have DX and I have airsoft. I have Denix. My two SLRs are airsoft. My G3 is airsoft. My AK is DX. Or sorry, my AK is airsoft, but I have a real foregrip and stuff like that on it. My SLR is Denix. My M16, my SE80s, they're all airsoft. So yeah. So where was I? Yeah, sorry. Next one, Nine Company. Yeah, that's the film. How old are you when I first started collecting? I was, Jesus. When I could first start remembering collecting, I was 10, 11, probably around that age. Um, just when I started hearing stories of my great grandfather, my grandfather, and my uncle, who had all served in the army. Um, my uncle, who was unfortunately now has passed away, was drafted in Vietnam. He literally emigrated to the States. 3 weeks later, was on the draft or got drafted, and ended up doing a year. 2 years, 2 years in the American Army. And my great grandfather was in the army the time of what we call the emergency or World War II in Ireland, and then his father fought with the Munster Fusiliers. He was actually a professional soldier. He was in India in 1902. I think he was in the Boer War as well, and then he was recalled for the First World War. So yeah, that's the guy that I showed you the cross earlier on. So that's how I started getting into collecting. And then when I joined the military myself, then I was collecting stuff. There was always a family joke that I was the only one that actually wore the proper uniform, the right uniform, because I actually joined the Irish Army. Just a little bit of a dig there at my relations. Next one. Deactivation laws are set by EU, not. Yeah, so it's the EU that sets the deactivation laws. It's not Ireland. Ireland, all right, does have its own gun laws because of the troubles in Northern Ireland. To have shotguns, you can't have. It's strange. A shotgun, the rifle itself is not actually restricted. If you get me, the ammunition is restricted. You can actually have a pistol in Ireland, but they only give out so many, and when it reaches that cap, they don't give out any more. And the only way to get on that licensing system, shall we say, is if you already had one. If your father or your grandfather or somebody had one that passed away, you can grandfather the license, or you can inherit the license, or you say no, I don't want it anymore, and you actually hand it back to the police station, and they dispose of it or do whatever they want to do with it. Then there's one slot then comes up on the licensing system, and you're allowed to get that then. But rifles and shotguns, if you're part of a gun club, if you have land, if you're part of a shooting range, things like that, there's a checklist of nearly 10, 11 things that you have to tick off before you can get a license. And even at that, you have to have your license isn't to have a gun. Your license is for that gun. That serial number and everything is on your license, if you get me. So if you were to get I think you're allowed to have 3 guns on the one license, and then anything after that, then you have to get another license or another license or another license. What about blank firing? Blank firing falls under the same category. You have to have a reason to have a blank firing. You have to. Sorry, I'll just get to that next question in a minute. Yeah, you have to have a blank firing. You can have blank firing guns, but you have to go through the same rigmarole as they're classified as a regular firearm. So you have to go through a checklist, be in a club, be in a range, be in something before you can get it. My airsoft guns are Aries, Arthur. Sorry, not all of them, but my 2 SLRs are airsoft, are Aries. So I have, one second, I have the black furniture one, or the plastic furniture one, and I have the timber version one. So this one I use for Vietnam for the Australians, and then the other one I use for Up Banner. So yeah, Simon, I wasn't notified that you were streaming. Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on. YouTube has been a bit of a dope at the minute, and they are not notifying people. There's another person, guys, that if you don't know who is, go subscribe. Rifleman Moore. Probably, along with Military Collectibles, probably got the biggest channels in the UK, shall we say. They're very good guys. If you could interview or meet anyone from the past conflicts, who would it be and why? Oh, that's a very, very interesting question. If I could interview anyone from past conflicts, who would it be? Oh, Jesus, I'll have to think about that one. Audie Murphy. Audie Murphy, I find very, very interesting. Any of you don't know who Audie Murphy is, he's the most decorated American soldier of World War II. He was 19, I think he was 19 or 20 when he won the Congressional Medal of Honor. Um, Later became an actor, died penniless, pretty much. Yeah, so yeah, Audie Murphy would be on top of my list to do an interview with. Like people say, like Churchill and Mussolini and all these guys. Um, I don't think I do interviews or like to talk to any of them. I'd like to talk to the general guys that were on the ground or the general guys that were doing the fighting. Um, who else would I talk to? Audie Murphy would be definitely top of the list. Um, in modern military history, I would love to talk to the lone survivor, Marcus Luttrell, because like his story is phenomenal. What he went through. Um, like his hardship that he went through must have been phenomenal. Yeah, so they'd be two guys that I'd like to interview. Um, did I ever get a replica airsoft Ruger for my RUC collection? No, I haven't. I haven't actually got anything for my RUC chap. I must get something for him. His holster's still empty. I do actually. Sorry, I do actually have a 1911 airsoft pistol. It's the only pistol I have. Um, to Hell and Back. It was an amazing movie. Yes, he actually. Yeah, you're right. He played himself in that. He he uh, he did. Yeah, to Hell and Back. And he played himself, and he became famous as a Western action hero type guy. But To Hell and Back, I believe, was the only war movie he made. Um, I mean, it must have been absolutely traumatic for the chap to be reliving the battles and watching and other actors playing his friends that were killed and things like that. It must have been very, very hard for him to shoot that movie. Like, um, does anyone even make an airsoft Ruger? I don't know. I've never looked into it. Um, I must look into it and see if I could get a DIAC or something like that. But I don't know if any airsoft manufacturers make a Ruger. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think Double Eagle might, but they're cheap. But they are cheap gas ones. Look, I don't. It doesn't bother me because it'll only be the holster. It'll never actually be used in an airsoft game, shall we say? Yeah. So yeah, I don't mind if it's cheap and cheerful. It's only to give an impression of something. Next question: did you get any repo gear from Epic Militaria? If so, what and what do you think of the quality? I haven't got anything yet from Epic Militaria. I am looking at getting stuff off Epic. Um, and when I do, I'll do an unboxing on it and we'll check the quality and stuff. I actually have a video coming up of I did get a mug off of SOS, or SOF, I should say, and I made 2 cups of tea in it. I don't know if you can see the top of it there. The paint is actually coming off it and it's rusting. So yeah, so I'm not happy on the quality of their World War II reproduction mugs, but yeah, I'm actually doing something on that. So we'll get back to that one. Uh, ASG do Mark 1 and Mark 2 Rugers as airsoft. Oh, I must look up them. Um, I must look up that manufacturer because yeah, I do need to get some type of a pistol for him. I do have a chap. A chap has messaged me, and we're in process of getting it sorted. Have a flak jacket for him or the body armor for the RUC that was actually used. It's marked. as having seen service in Derry, London, Derry, whichever way you want to put it. So that will be going on him, and we will be doing a video on it when it arrives. Yeah, I had the same with my mug. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Is it just a paint, or can it be re-enameled or something? But once it's done that, I'm not going to use it. So if any of you do know where I can get another World War II reproduction mug of better quality, please let me know. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but sure, look, it is what it is. It can be used for a static display anyway. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I do have smaller or smaller proper steel mugs, but excuse me, it's just water. It's nothing else, lads. Yeah. So yeah, any other questions? I can suppose I'll show you quite while they're here handy. Some of my airsoft stuff. So that's my G3. Now this actually has proper parts in it. This magazine is actually a real magazine that's been converted for airsoft. So that's my G3. Where did I put these now so that they're not in the way? Hold it back here. So I showed you my two SLRs. We have the black one. We have the timber one. We have my Denex SMLE, which is fantastic, if you ask me. I did redo the stock on it though. Put these back. We have my AK, which has a German folding stock on it and a Hungarian front guard. So it's a bit of a mixed up AK, but it does the job. So yeah, so there's a few more questions that's coming up there, so I'll answer them and then I'll show you some other bits and bobs. Military collectibles, both Epic and Soldier of Fortune gear is a bit hit and miss, particularly World War II gear, which they may have contracted from India. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Some of the SOF World War One, 08 webbing, some are good, some are bad. Yeah, see, that's the thing, especially from. If I could call into the shop and look at the quality and things like that, it'd be a bit easier. Ordering stuff online, it's very hit and miss. Waiting for someone to make an airsoft FAL, which fits Irish specs. Best of luck to that one, Rifleman Moore. There was a chap. I must get in contact. I'll send you a message during the week. There was a guy. I think I found his details that used to convert airsoft. Actually, physically build airsoft stuff, and I think he made as near enough to an Irish FN FAL. Wish King Arms still made their SLRs. They were much better than the Aries ones. I don't know. I've never used the King Arms ones. As I said, I only have them for displays, and I do plan on getting back into reenacting. I plan on doing maybe First World War, Second World War, up banner in Vietnam. So yeah, that's all they're going to be used for. They're not going to be used to go out to games and stop and get abused. They're just going to be used for displays and things like that. Wish King, yeah, but they stopped making them. Yeah, I know King Arms stopped making them. I think they still make this short barrel version. I think, I'm not sure. I got a batch of issue and Amel cups. Can send you one if you want. Yeah, that'd be perfect, mate. If you go back through my videos, my email to get in contact with the channel. If you ever want to drop me an email, if you want information about anything that you've seen on a video or anything that you would like to either donate to the channel or to see it being done in a video and send it back to you, or if you just wish to give it, that's fine. So yeah, on most of my video descriptions, you will see the email at the top of that. So just bang off an email to one of those and or to that email, and I'll try and get back to you. Where about did I get the Airsoft G3 from? I got that off a chap that knew I collected um, airsoft military stuff, and he had it. He was selling it. He said that I want it, and I said, yeah, that's fine. He did an awful lot of work with it. I'm not actually sure of the maker of it, but like he nearly made it look like completely authentic. He's like you worn the metal and stuff that it makes it look um like a real one. So yeah, I'm not actually sure even of the make of it. So yeah, um, so other ones I have is the XM177 Echo 2 because of the flash hider, which ironically on the real one actually sounded it suppressed the gun to a certain degree. So that's my Vietnam era XM177. Um, we have my M16. This is the this is the later version of the M16 because it actually has the guard or the railing on it. The initial ones had a three-prong flash hider, and they didn't have this rail to protect the magazine release. So yeah, so that's that one. And then I have an S80 A1, shall we say, and I have the A2, which is another one. So yeah, and I do have a Bren gun also. Thoughts on incorrect? So in thoughts on incident south of the border. I live in a village where the 1983 affair occurred, and I believe that many may have been one of the largest defence force missions during the Troubles. There was a lot of operations during the Troubles. I can't go into detail what they were, uh, but there were more than that one. There was a few. Famous one was the kidnapping of Quinsworth, the Quinsworth owner at the time, which was a big shopping centre. Was it Quinsworth or Dunstores? There was massive military operation at that time. There was actually a soldier and a policeman killed on that operation. So there was more than just that operation, but there was lots of operations. I'm not going to go into detail on them. I've got a few CO2 replica airsoft pistols, very hit and miss to shoot. They misfire a lot, and build quality isn't there. Just pot metal, really only good for static displays. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to use the airsoft stuff for competitions and stuff like that, or games, or whatever you want to call them. For me, perfectly, they're they're just for display and for reenacting or for going on static displays and things like that. King Arms was supposed to release their FAL in the early 2020, but it has been put back by COVID. Um, is it King Arms that are redoing the FAL? I know there is a company I thought it was Tokyo Marui though that were redoing the FAL, and it had nearly the exact same, I believe, Rifleman Moore if you're still around the place. Keep an eye on that. I'm not sure is it King Arms or is it Tokyo Marui that are coming out with a file that looks the same as the Irish one nearly. I do remember reading something about that. Yeah, Don Tidy. That was the lad's name. There was he was kidnapped by the IRA, and he was pretty much tortured, and he in that operation he was hidden in the woods, but he was hidden in different areas, and the army along with the police and stuff were sent in, and there was a soldier and a policeman killed on that operation. There's been a few soldiers killed. Sorry, was he the only? There was a few soldiers killed anyway on border operations or injured on border operations. There's been a few policemen killed on border operations and stuff like that. But I'm not going to go into detail on individual stuff that happened up there. Famous incidents, they're on record. I'll talk about them. but I'm not going to go into general detail. Yeah, the RTE archives is very, very good for. Sorry, I'm supposed to read the questions. There are some interesting snippets on the RTE archives. Yes, the RTE archives is very, very good to get information about border operations. About even I watched. I think it was me and you actually that were discussing it. We were looking at a clip of when they were testing rifles from the FAL to and then ended up with the Steyr. There's a video report on that or a snippet report on that. Have you seen the air rifle, not airsoft version of the SMLE? Very expensive and just doesn't look right. No, I haven't. I haven't seen that actually. Air guns in Ireland are classified as rifles, so you have to have a license for them. You can't just have an air gun. You have to have a rifle or if it shoots under or sorry if it shoots over 328 feet per second, which is 1 joule of power, it's classified as a firearm. You need a firearms license. What would be the ultimate must-have piece for your collection? I would love a Saracen or a Land Rover for my Northern Ireland collection. For my World War II collection, it's quite simple. I would love to have a original para helmet. Um, for my World War One collection, what would be my ultimate for my World War One collection? That's a good one actually. I never thought of it from the First World War One collection. Do. Sniper's plate actually. I like the idea of just hiding behind a piece of metal. So yeah, a German sniper's plate would probably be my first World War One. World War Two would be the paratrooper's helmet. A banner would be the Saracen or the Land Rover, and for Vietnam, what would I like? I'd actually something to do with the um, North Vietnamese, actually, to tell you the truth, because their stuff like it's a very I find it is a very interesting subject is when you talk about war trophies or war souvenirs or something like that. So maybe like either from the Pacific side, like one of these Japanese flags that you see being brought back as a war trophy, or these Vietnamese flags that you see being brought back as a war trophy. I just find that subject interesting a small bit. Um, which collection of mine would I say is the biggest? Op Banner. Op Banner is definitely the biggest, followed by Vietnam, then followed by World War Two, and then followed by World War One. I did have a huge collection of World War One stuff, but unfortunately, I got disillusioned. I was doing reenacting at the time, and I just got disillusioned with politics and this and that, and I unfortunately sold a lot of it, which I regret now because I'm trying to build it back up. So yeah, so that'll be my collection and size and stuff like that. Sorry, where am I going? The British paratrooper helmet Stan. German World War Two German or British parachute helmet. The British one because the British one, the Mark II version was used pretty much from the Second World War all the way up to the start of the Falklands, and it would be a massive piece of my collection that I could use it for a banner, Malaya, um, World War Two, Aden. There's a huge remit of um, reenacting or collecting that specific helmet could be used for. So that's why I would like to have that helmet. Um, you, they're extremely rare. As I have never ever physically seen one of them. I've only seen them in pictures. Is the actual para public order version, whereas it's a para helmet, but it's been rigged like the Mark IV with the visor on the front of it. They are extremely hard to find. Tom, how are you? How was things? Welcome. We're just chatting in general about everything and anything. So yeah, I hope that has answered your questions, Dan. If anyone else has any other questions, I will shoot. I'll try and answer them, and I will carry on with my weapons display, shall we say? So I've covered this one as well. That's a law or a 66 airsoft version, actually. Um, it's going to fall on me now, is it? No, stay there. Do I see a question? Doing good, taking a break from studies. Yeah, everyone needs to have a break. Um, and then the piece de resistance is my Bren gun. And this is Mark II. They're not light, 1942. I don't know if you can see the date on it there. So yeah, so that's my Bren gun. This is a DIAC. So I'm lucky in that way. And I do actually have the transport box and all for it. When I first went into the army, these were still being used by the RDF or the FCA, and I did get a chance to fire them and train on them. So yeah, so that's a neat little bit of history. I'd love to have an L4 Bren. Yeah, as I said, I'm lucky to have it, especially here. I do have a DX cert for it and everything, so everything's above board. But yeah, that's probably the crown jewel of my DX airsoft weapons display, shall we say? So that'll be the crown jewel on it anyway. I can put stuff over here now before they all fall on top of me. So has anyone else got any questions, lads, or anything else? What's going on? Are there any restrictions in Ireland regarding? Sorry, are there any restrictions in Ireland regarding ownership of DIAC ammo, shells, etc.? Can't beat a Bren gun for my favorite DIAC. Yeah, it's the same. You can have the ammo, the shells, and stuff like that once it's deactivated. And can you have the warhead? If you have a shell, shall we say you have a 105. Now, don't quote me on this. I think this is how it works. But if you have a 155, shall we say, you can have the shell and you can have the head, but they have to be separate. You can't have the two of them together. Do you know what I mean? So say if you have a display, you can have the head of the shell here, and you can have the shell. They're not supposed to be together, if I remember correctly. Or if they are together, it has to be timber, or a reproduction. It can't be the original, but they have to be deactivated as well. I'm not sure do you need a cert for them because I don't actually have any. But yeah, that to the best of my knowledge, I believe that is the requirement. Any kits I would like to put together. That's not from the Angosphere. I would like to do a Rhodesian, but it will have to be reproduction because the original stuff is ridiculously priced. Any other that I would put together? Definitely Rhodesian anyway, because I find that conflict area of interest or time frame very interesting. I do have a project that I'm working on about an Irish guy that was in Rhodesia. So hopefully that will come together and materialize. But yeah, that'll probably be about the only kit that I would like to put together. You can see a pair of binoculars from me. What are they? How many pairs do I have? I've only got the one pair. And these were actually my dad's, my father's. They're not actually World War II or anything military related. They're cannons. I believe they're 50s or 60s or something like that. And I just held on to them for their sentimental value for me, belonging to my dad because my dad is no longer with us. and I just have them hanging up there. So that's all there really. Trust, yeah, I know he's a thing for binoculars. Most guys have like a fetish for shoes or stockings and stuff, but no, his is binoculars. Strange guy. Just a quick one. What is the best piece of kit to take to gigs when you come out and play again? What is? I don't. I'll try and read this again. Just a quick one. What is the best piece of kit to take to gigs when I come out to play again? Okay. Is that is never seen, but you carry it just because. I believe even to have items in your pockets, correct? And that's just me. I mean, like people aren't going to see, shall we say? No, which one is this? This is my World War I hold on. Like, I mean, people aren't going to see that, but I still have it in my bag because it's correct. And it's a talking piece then. Whereas if Joe, when you're sitting down for something to eat or whatever, and you take out your fork out of your soldier's hold, and people go, "Oh, hang on, what's that?" Yeah, so little things like that, I find. Yeah, people don't necessarily need to see them. You don't need to bring them, but they're interesting to have. Good YouTube channel is Five Romeo Romeo. Great channel for history on Rhodesia. There is a channel I'm watching as well. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But like that, the guy is doing interviews with guys that had been in Rhodesia. Um, I think he does one a week or something like that. Very, very interesting, and it's good to hear the veterans as well talk their side of it. Yeah, I can't think of the name of it, but that's a very, very good channel. Um, uh, Very good YouTube channel on Rhodesia. Reference Boynos, as in the conflict of Rhodesia. Yeah, I can't think of the name of that channel, but it is very, very good. When it comes to the Royal Irish Constabulary, do you know, is there any specific, or can you wear Balmoral hats? And who wears the peak caps? Right. Okay. Quick suppressed bit of history here now. When it comes to the Royal Irish Constabulary, who were the police force in the majority of Ireland during 1916. I'm going to leave out the Dublin Metropolitan Police, who were just in Dublin, but the Royal Irish Police literally did everywhere else except for, or sorry, the Royal Irish Constabulary literally did everywhere except for Dublin. To portray a Royal Irish Constabulary member, it's the peak cap. If you wear a Balmoral, you are a black and tan, what became known as a black and tan, or you are an auxiliary. Right? They were the res, two special police forces that were brought into the country at that time. I'm not going to go into the politics of them. I'm not going to tell you what they did and what they didn't do. One was for doing static general. Okay, easier. One was enlisted soldiers from the First World War. The other was officers. Um, and they were the groups that wore the Balmoral, not the actual RIC. The RIC wore the PCAP, which is the exact same except in black of the RUC cap. So there's a quick, brief bit of history for you. I would imagine that there's loads of military channels on YouTube, land which we have never seen. The YouTube has come on in leaps and bounds since the day of promo playing cats. Yes, it has. YouTube is fantastic for getting information. I was changing the brakes on my car the other day, and I was like, "How the hell do I do this?" And for some reason, I just figured it out. And I YouTube, how do I do this? There we go. I would imagine, yeah. So there we go. Yeah, YouTube is fantastic for finding out stuff. And like, I don't know, is it an algorithm or what? When you just start when you start watching, um, military collectors channels and stuff like that. You get suggestions, and then you just go down the rabbit hole of seeing other stuff. Um, yeah, so there we go. There are two colors I know, yellow and red Balmorals. Do you know which is which? The standard color of the Balmoral was black, but they had, shall we say, a disc or a square or a triangle behind the cap edge, and that was to denote what company they were in. They were organized nearly as a military battalion. They were in companies, so that's what the disc behind their cap edge was for. Was to, or their square, the triangle, whatever it was to denote what part of company they were or what company they were in. But as far as I know, the Balmorals were all black with big long streamers off the back of them. And how they got the name the Black and Tans was because there was such a shortage of police uniforms that they ended up wearing military uniforms and police uniforms. So they might have a green World War One tunic and a police pants, or they might have a police or a British Army or pants with a police tunic. So that's how they ended up known as the Black and Tans. DD Rain Drop Camouflage gives South African vets of the Bush War flashbacks. Fact. I did not know that. I know that there was an awful lot of interference, shall we say, from Eastern Bloc countries in that conflict, and I'm not going. As I said, I don't get into politics. I try and stay away from politics. At that time frame, at that conflict zone or area, the Rhodesians were fighting a war literally by themselves. They had a small bit of help from South Africa and a small bit of help from Portugal, um, but their tactics, the Fire Force tactics, and some of their groups, the Selous Scouts and things like that, they had a completely different way of fighting insurgency wars, and it worked for a long time. Uh, I'm probably wrong, but I believe that the yellow RIC Balmoral was F Company and the red was I Company, as per Google. There you go. There's a question answered for you. Yeah, but the actual Balmoral cap itself was black. It's the backing behind our cap edge was the different colours of what the company they were part of. Oh, so yeah, we'll keep going, guys. As long as you keep throwing questions at me, we're at 57 minutes, but we'll go a bit longer anyway. I'm not too worried about being on for the hour. So we'll just, as long as you keep asking me questions, I'll keep answering them. I'm trying to think on questions that have been asked on different ways I can answer them or different things that I can show. Like somebody asked me about things that you should bring. What's the best military museum I visited? Either which or either once or regularly. I've been to the Imperial War Museum, fantastic museum. I've been to the HMS Belfast, fantastic museum. I went to France and Belgium, and I did a lot of museums over there. I did the Airborne Museum at Pegasus Bridge, fantastic museum. I did the Cloth Hall Museum in Ypres, fantastic museum. In Ireland, I did the Somme Museum in the north, which is a fantastic museum. The Collins Barracks, which is the National Military or National History Museum. I was in there. They have a selection of military stuff. But yeah, probably the best that I've experienced would definitely have to be the ones in Normandy, in Belgium and stuff like that, because they're literally on the battle sites. We stayed in a B&B or a hostel, and when you looked out our window, there was in Normandy there was a mortar position that you could still see the marks on this wall, a circular wall that the Germans had painted for quick reference. And the guy that owned the B&B or the hostel we were staying in, like it was ideal. This was marketing for him because you have the beaches 10 minutes down the road. So I mean, it was ideal for him. So yeah, they would probably be the best museums that I have visited. Um, while we're on the topic, do you have any RIC or USC stuff in your collection? I do have RSC stuff in my collection. I have a bandolier, original bandolier. I have an original cap badge. I have original handcuffs. I think that's it at the minute. Original stuff. Oh, sorry, I have original holster, Webley holster, and I have original rifle cartridge magazines for the belt as well. Um, yeah, so there would be. Thing. Where does the Irish military stand? Where does Irish militaria stand as a military collectible? Has it a good following and regarded as military surplus? The Irish military stuff to collect is very, very, very difficult because Ireland don't do surplus. Um, when you leave the army, you hand back everything. You're supposed to hand back everything. Um, you come in with nothing, you leave with nothing. That's the way it works. Um, you can't get surplus off the Irish Army. Yeah, their uniforms are taken and shredded, and they're used as fertilizer. Um, helmets are crushed. Uh, we were redoing a barracks or a training area at one time called Kilworth, and we were sent down as dogs' bodies to labour, whatever you want to do, clean out buildings and stuff like that. And each billet had a potbelly stove, cast iron potbelly stove, and we were told to go in with sledgehammers and smash them all up. Um, so to get Irish military surplus, it's very, very hard. There are guys that specifically collect Irish stuff, um, and it depends on what areas you're collecting. But it can be very, very difficult to find the Irish stuff, the older stuff, shall we say. I can't believe an hour has gone by so quickly. Thanks for this. It helps us get to know each other in the weird community. Yes, exactly. Um, I mean, as I said last week, if you want me to do this every Friday at 8 o'clock, I will do it Friday at 8 o'clock. Um, because of shows, because of COVID at the moment. Now in Ireland, restrictions are starting to lift, thankfully, bit by bit. Um, we're not going to have any shows this year. I can't see of us having any shows this year. So at least it's a way for us to connect and talk to each other and things like that. So once you keep coming in back every Friday at 8 o'clock, I'll keep doing it. And if you like the idea, just give me a thumbs up in the comments there or whatever, and I'll keep coming back and we'll keep doing the comments or keep doing the lives on a Friday at 8 o'clock. I know there's a few of you that had issues about not being notified and stuff like that. That's YouTube again being a twat. So yeah, so there's no hassle. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the hour. We'll just keep chatting as long as people keep asking questions or people still have comments. So if anyone else has any questions there, I'll shoot away and we'll answer them. But it is a good way to pass an hour and a half, whatever. Um, and it's nice to just chat as well, get the collection out there. So, um, I have Defence Force uniforms from the 70s and 80s. I'm currently looking for an M69 flak vest. I believe they are locally produced with cotton as per nylon on the buttons. Yeah, I'm sure you'll find one, but when you find one, it's going to be tough because, um, like, the Irish stuff is extremely, extremely difficult to get. Um, most of the stuff I have is from my own time in the army. Um, yeah, I can't even give you a piece of advice. I mean, like the army, if you even went to the army and said, "Look, can I have something?" unless it's going to a regulated, registered museum or something like that. I don't even think they'd give it to you. So yeah, so there we go. As long as I know about it, I will tune in. Yeah, you're more than welcome, Military Collectibles. Every Friday, 8 o'clock, we'll be here. Um, and if I'm not here, I'll tell you on the stream before that or whatever. Um, so the way I'm going to do things now is we're going to have a video normally coming out on a Monday, and we'll have the live stream on a Friday. So we'll be doing 2 videos a week. So there we go. A few years back, an Irish dealer had a lot of your DPM with. Oh, really? He could have gotten a lot of trouble for that, especially for the Irish DPM. Um, he, it's tough. The register, the restrictions on the DPM and the camouflage. It's and the old if the old uniform, shall we say, is taken off the books, you could probably get away with having it. But an actual issue uniform that is still being issued at the minute, it's a lot of the army frown upon it hugely. Um, and I actually believe that there may be a law against selling it. Um, so yeah, so that could have caused an awful lot of trouble. Excuse me. I might not be able to make every Friday, but as I'm on, I can. Yeah, it's no hassle. Don't have to make every Friday. There's no one saying you have to make every Friday. I guess it was a bit moody then. What was a bit moody? Oh, it's your man selling the DPM. Yeah, it could. I mean, if there was an actual army guy there or something that he could have caused an awful lot of trouble. Um, yeah, like the army or the navy is after getting this new DPM uniform, and it's an offset of greys. And if you ask me, I don't believe they shouldn't have changed it. Um, it's not like why fix what's not broke. The army and the navy and the air force have a massive, or the air corps, I should say, have a massive problem in Ireland at the minute with retention of guys and pay. So I mean that money should have been my opinion. Sorry if any of you have a different opinion, but my opinion is that money should have been put towards the welfare of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, rather than make a uniform that there's no need for. Uh, the army rule is it's illegal to buy and sell camo. Yeah, so there you go. Under license camo, like the French. Yeah, or the Finnish camo. Yeah, it's under license. It's restricted. Uh, the reason for it, and it's the same with police uniforms and stuff like that. Um, it's because of the old IRA tactic of guys dressing up in police uniforms, military uniforms. There's a famous one where they dressed up as British soldiers and stole an armory, literally stole an armory in the border. Uh, Drove into a British Army barracks, dressed as British soldiers, held up the lads, stole the armory, and left. So yeah, so that's why they restricted a lot. Um, Another famous case was they weren't IRA though; they were gangsters or I don't know what you'd call them, but they went into a hotel with armed as dressed as policemen and shot up a gangland feud type thing that was going on in Dublin at the time. The 1985 pattern Irish Army uniform was also made in Waffen SS Oak. I did not know that. I did not know it was made in the Waffen SS Oak Leaf for some reason. I know the army was very late in bringing on DPMs because of border operations. They were afraid of Irish guys being mistaken as British, British guys being mistaken as Irish. So yeah, so that was I didn't know they made it in that camouflage for some reason. It could have been just a trials version or something maybe. I've heard the Germans won't be surprising anymore. Yeah, I've heard that as well. That the Germans aren't an awful lot of the surplus in Europe was because of national service, and the Germans now are after getting rid of their national service, so they won't have the same amount of surplus as they used to have. Um, So that was a reason that an awful lot of armies were selling surplus, was because of national service, that they could bring money back into the budget. Um, but I've heard that the Germans aren't doing it. The Poles as well, I believe, have got rid of their national service for a while, but I believe that they're having issues as well with surplus, that they're not selling surplus anymore. That could be an EU directive. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's because of the Ukrainian conflict. Tons of the stuff went to Ukraine. Oh, didn't know that now. Um, I didn't know that now, that there was tons of the German stuff went to the Ukraine. I know I did see an article there the other day that um, the was it the Ukrainians? Somebody anyway was after coming across a ship that was bound for somewhere in Western Europe or Eastern Europe with a small fortune of ammunition and stuff inside in the back of it. Um, one second there, no, my phone is going off. So I know that that I didn't know now that it was going to Ukraine, um, but I know that the Ukrainians were having problems. Battalions of lads in Flecktarn, some very shady groups. Yeah, it's a strange conflict in the Ukraine at the minute. Like, I mean, you have a few people with their fingers in the pie. Russians being one, and Russian-backed militias, things like that. So yeah, it's a very very strange area to be getting involved in. Um, so has anyone any more questions there? We might log off there. We've gone in. We're an hour and 10 minutes, so we'll give it another 5 minutes and we'll log off if anyone is around. So, lads, if you're happy enough with these live streams, let me know. Send me an email if you have questions that you'd like me to bring up, or items that you want to see around, that you've seen, that you want more information on, and stuff like that. And we'll get them sorted and put them up on either the live stream or do an individual video on them. So, you all happy with the questions anyway? The questions seem to have slowed down. Have you all fallen asleep? Live streams are a good way of getting subscribers. I if it is, it doesn't. I don't do this for subscribers. I do this as a hobby, pretty much, and just to show off my collection and try and get people interested and get information out. So I don't really. Okay, yeah, subscribe. The more subscribers you have, obviously, the more information you're getting out to people. But yeah, if I get one subscriber a week, that's fine by me. I'm not after subscribers. I'm not chasing subscribers. And if you are a subscriber, excuse me, thank you very much. I mean, it all helps. Like, thank you for subscribing. And during the Balkans, German supply stores had to ship. Oh, so the German stuff was being widely used all over the place. I've had I've had a really great time. Some interesting Q&As. Enjoy your evening, everyone. Back time for me. Have a good one, Military Collectibles. Hopefully, we'll see you next week. They stole the guns from Armagh, the barracks in Armagh, 1954. It was an old Royal Irish Fusiliers depot, still used by the PSNI as a base. So there you go. That's where they actually stole the guns out of. They stole the armory. They stole everything that was in the armory, I believe. In your experience, what is the best way to avoid paying taxes legally? I'm not going to even go there. Thanks for the time. Have a good one. No problem, lads. Great live stream, John. Really enjoyed it. No problem, lads. So you all seem to be knocking off. So I'll knock off myself and I will see same place. If you remember Batman from the 80s, same time, same channel, same place. See you later, guys. Enjoy your night.